So that's one thing to keep in mind. Again, level 1, we're just talking kydex and friction only. Level 2 is where we start getting into the automatic lock system, or ALS, where there's one button, you push that button, and that allows the firearm to come out. If we don't push the button and we try to pull it, there's basically a locking bar that doesn't allow the pistol to move past it. That is great when we're talking about, hey, I'm duty, and if someone other than me grabs my firearm, I want something else retaining the gun other than just friction. And then you've got level 3, which is what a lot of military and law enforcement are going to use. And level 3 has the friction of the kydex, the ALS built in, usually in a thumb button on the side where you've got to push down and sweep to the rear. And you've got what we call essentially a hood that protects the slide over the top. And that's great because I've got to physically push down, pull back, and move the hood to get my firearm out. So if I'm in a fight and I'm a law enforcement officer or I'm military and I go inside of somebody's house and somebody attacks me, they can't just grab my gun and pull it out. They have to use the buttons and remove that hood. So it's got more retention added into it. All right, one additional consideration is running an optic. If you're running an optic, like you see here in this picture, you can see that it's not protected by the holster and it looks pretty scuffed up. My personal is also not protected, and you can see here, it's quite a bit scratched up as well. And I've owned this for about a year. When I got this Canik Rival, they didn't make any holsters for it. So I had to reach out to some certain companies and they special made this, but I still couldn't find anything that protected this Trijicon SRO optic. It's not the end of the world. However, it gets dirty easy. It gets banged around and your gun's gonna hit it. If you get down on the ground, you're gonna get grass on it, dirt on it, all that good stuff. So you wanna look at something that can protect your optic. These Safariland level 3s will typically protect your optic. However, you gotta make sure it's a certain optic for a certain gun. Like you can get a Trijicon with an RMR in there pretty easy, but you're not gonna get every version of the Acro or this optic and that optic on this gun or that gun. So certain holsters fit certain guns and certain optics, just like certain holsters fit certain guns with certain lights on the bottom. And a lot of times with these, you can get protection for your gun and your light, but not your optic. These, you can get protection for your gun, your optic, and your light simultaneously, but the amount of guns that can fit in there are usually pretty limited to Glock, SIG P320 variants, and some select others, like I think a Staccato can go in there as well. Just a consideration. Next, we're gonna talk about grip. So if you look here in this picture, the thing I want you to really pay attention to is, one, how high his hand is on the beaver tail. You can't even see his beaver tail of his gun because his hand is up so high. 2, look at his hands here and his thumb placement. Typically what we see from new shooters is they love to have this hand right here and their thumb up into the sky, or they put this thumb on the gun and then they put this hand over it. And when they do that, they have a lot of gaps and void area around the gun. And when you pull the trigger, it's going to be an explosion. Every action has an equal and opposite reaction. So if I have a lot of gaps, that's where the energy from this explosion wants to escape. But if we look here at this picture, notice that he's got his hands touching and there's no gaps. The only gap that you see is down here at the mag flare. And that's not the end of his gun. Well, it's an aftermarket part where it basically flares out to allow the mag to get in quicker. But his hands are tight together. And if you look at his fingers, he's got his fingers tight together. They're not opened up, creating void. They're tight together and they're fitting in whatever groove they can.